Hey out there, Akronites, welcome once again to Around Akron with Blue Green, and wow, do we have an amazing show ahead of us again today. I'm going to go over to Kenmore and learn all about Just a Dad from Akron. Then it's over to Pure Intentions to learn all about wheatgrass. I'm also going to head over to Sam's Emporium. Now to kick this show off today, I'm going to learn about a new journalist in town covering the beat of Akron. Let's go see what journalist Shay is all about.
When I was in the third grade, I used to sing and do plays. And just like one morning I walked in, I don't know what it was about this morning so special, but I was like early, bright, ready, sit at my desk and everything. And I wasn't doing anything, and the teachers called me in the hallway. So I thought I was in trouble. I'm like, what's going on here? But no, they actually asked me to write a piece on my music teacher. And it was gonna be displayed in the hallway. And that's literally the first time I ever wrote about anybody, was the third grade. Ever since then, that upcoming Christmas, my aunt, she bought me a diary. I've been a writer ever since then. I just started writing. I mean, not writing on people, but I had a passion for just writing, period, since then. I went to Akron University first, till COVID hit. Then I switched over to Start State because COVID kicked everybody off of campus. And then I went to Start State. And then once I went to Start State, after that, I wanted more hands-on, and I went to Ohio Media School. After Ohio Media School, before I graduated, I already had signed the contract with Beacon, and that's how I got my foot in the door to actually become an official journalist. So they gave me a freelance contract to learn a city. I'm from Youngstown. I'm not from Akron, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. So I didn't know the city quite well for me to just go out there and be like, oh, you got a story? Yeah. People already think it's weird when journalists walk up on them. So if they see this girl with this hair walking up, like, who is you? You're just trying to be nosy. They gave me the freelance contract. Ever since then, I started becoming a part of multiple organizations in the city to see what they can use with me as a freelance journalist. And I just took off from there and just started doing what I can with multiple organizations. So I'm just connected to a lot now. I grew up in Youngstown, and Akron and Youngstown's two different places. So it was very welcoming. I met some amazing people my first time down. I'm still friends to the girls to this day. Very first friends. They accepted me. We've been cool ever since. I was lost because this not my city. I'm still lost to this day. It's a lot of people I don't know. I'm still learning who's the who's, who I should be connected to, who's important, who's trouble. But overall, Akron is a great city. It's that they up and downs like every other city, but it has been welcoming so far. And the people in Akron has been so amazing to me in my journey. I mean, so much support. So I'm forever grateful for being out here. I feel like local journalism is important because we don't have the big news outlet stations. So we have to get the news from somewhere out here. We have the Beacon, we have 330 To Go, and I'm part of both of them. We have Shay Tune, my own organization. I feel like it's very important for people to trust us to get the word out. We don't have nothing major like Cleveland 19. We don't have to cut on our channels and just watch the news every night. We don't have them organizations. So I feel like it's very important for us to continue to try to get the word out, whether it's digital, print, anything. It's very important because Akron been on the road. Like, Akron been having some stuff going on. The events, the protests, Akron been having some stuff going on, and people want to know what's going on in the city. And then that's when I try to step in, like, all right, let me tell y'all what's going on in the city the best way I can. But people is used to their organizations, I should say. So I'm just kind of new stepping into trying to have people trust me on my platform, but people are used to what they go to as far as news outlets. So I just feel like it's very important that no matter what, people get the news. I'm on all platforms, Journalist Shay, and everything is just Journalist Shay. I make it easy for everybody to find me. Well, my media page is Shay Tune, but I'm Journalist Shay. If you go to Journalist Shay, you eventually go find Shay Tune. It's connected to everything. So on all platforms. I am Journalist Shay, except for LinkedIn. I think still then I put that in the little quotation, Journalist Shay. So I'm not on all platforms. Be yourself. Don't change up anything about you. If somebody say you got to have a certain look about yourself to be in a certain position in the job, don't listen to it. Be yourself. People are going to love you for just completely being you. You do not have to switch up the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you dress, about nothing. Just continue to be you and continue to learn. A knowledge is never not too much knowledge you can talk on that you can have with a topic. Just continue to research and read. People don't read. Just read. Please read, my people. Read, research, and write. That is my only advice. Read, research, and write, and take care of your mental, because that may play a major part in any job in the world. Take care of your mental. And just, like I said, stay true to who you are. That's all you can do and be in the world. There's nothing else. There's no secret. Just stay true to who you are and what you want to do. If you got a passion, that whatever you want to do, stick to that and just be yourself. Don't switch up nothing about you.
Now it's over to Kenmore to see what Just a Dad from Akron is all about.
So I grew up here in the Kenmore neighborhood. As a kid, I ran the streets, did a lot of stuff like that. Skateboarding and baseball was like my two favorite things as a kid. From a very early age, that's like all I mentally obsessed about. I mentally obsessed about skateboarding when I wasn't skateboarding, or baseball when I wasn't playing baseball. And that became like like addiction behavior type thing, right? So I'd always felt full of fear, full of anxiety, stuff like that. About 16 years old, I got introduced to drugs and alcohol, and that led me down a very dark path. Drinking periodically, to drinking every day, to dropping out of high school, doing computer school, and drinking, just partying 24/7. From there, it led me down to every single drug that's ever existed, for the most part, trying those, and trips in and out of jail, collecting felonies along the way, and burning bridges, lots of bridges with my family, friends, loved ones, multiple trips to jail. Yeah, I struggled for about 15 years, 12 to 15 years with addiction, until it led me to the point of being homeless. At that point, my daughter had been born, she was 9 months old, and I remember in those times that I wanted to be the dad that she deserved, right? I knew I could be a better dad. I knew I could be a better human, a better person than the person I was, but it was not possible while using drugs and alcohol. I ended up homeless, praying to God that if I had a purpose, to put me in jail or to give me the courage to commit suicide. And from that point, I ended up in jail. And from there, I went to treatment out in Warren, Ohio. I just surrendered everything, and the willingness that I had was the willingness to do anything to stay sober and to build a better life. So I did treatment out there for 30 days, came home here in Akron, became a full-time dad, so hanging out with my daughter all day, every day, taking her to meetings with me, taking her to sober living houses to pick up guys and take them to meetings, church, rubber ducks games, fireworks. Those were, like the key monumental beginning of sobriety. So about 2 years into sobriety, I had worked different jobs. I did welding, I did excavation, I was a line cook, all these different things. And I'm continuing to grow as a dad, as a human, as a positive member in the community. And I knew that my ambition and drive was greater than just being, just working at a normal 9-to-5 job. So I prayed and figured out, I wanted to do clothing. That's what I've always been passionate about. So I wanted to create a clothing brand that was a positive impact in the community, but also lifted people up, gave people hope, inspired them through apparel and designs. So in 2020, I launched the company, and for 6 months prior to that, I just wrote down notebooks and notebooks and notebooks full of stuff. Ideas, visions, ways that I could give back to the community, different stuff like that. Launched it in 2020, and then it was in March, and then 2 weeks later, COVID happened, right? So I'm I was asking God, I'm why did you give me this vision to do this, And 2 weeks later, for the whole world to be shut down, And little did I know, that's what really fueled and brought the company up, got awareness, and gave me the opportunities to give back in a time that was very desperately needed, right? And I just didn't see that in the beginning, and I just held on with that mustard seed of faith. Growing up, my mom had always told me as a kid, like, it only takes a mustard seed of faith. You know, like, you just have to have that little mustard seed of faith. And I never understood it as a kid, or even as a young adult, I never understood that. Cause I'm like, that's so tiny. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, all I have to have is something this big and things will work out, until I truly believed in it, you know, and had the hope that things do get better. If you're willing and you put in the time and the effort, your life can change forever. You can find a version of yourself that you've never dreamed or knew was possible to exist. If you're struggling, you know, like, just don't give up. For me, it was having that hope and knowing that the person I was at that time in my active addiction, if I were to pass away or die, who would Kenny Lambert be remembered as? You know, like, who would my daughter say, who was my dad? What was my dad like, right? And the person I was in that moment was not somebody I wanted to be. I knew that I could be better than what I was. And just by holding on and never giving up and losing that hope, that's what's got me through and got me to where I am today. So the store is located at 937 Kenmore Boulevard. I'm on the corner of 13th Street and Kenmore Boulevard. When I first opened up the store here, I think there was only, it was 2021, so I think there was only about 7 businesses on the boulevard. Over the past 2.5 years I've been here, it's grown to 21 businesses. Kenmore has really shifted from what it was like when I was a kid in the neighborhood growing up here to what it is now. I feel that the Kenmore, especially like the Boulevard neighborhood, is a lot of business owners or community people coming together and making this place home, you know, making it a safe place for people to come and to feel comfortable and enjoy and have a good time. But it's the support that really keeps the doors open, you know, the support of people coming in, shopping, coming in and just checking out and spreading the word, you know, like if you tell someone like, hey, go check out this store, like that helps just as much, you know. And yeah, I've only seen it grow since I've been here.
Next up, it's Pure Intentions to learn all about wheatgrass. Let's go see what Pure Intentions is all about.
This building was Bell Tire. There's like 2 sections. There's the front of the building and the back of the building. This front is about 2,000 square feet, and it was once the showroom for the tires. What used to be windows are now walls, but the whole front down North Street was windows and, you know, like the old tire shops. And the back is where they did the tires and the work and the garage work. And when we got this building, it was completely empty. A lot of these walls weren't here. We built the grow room, we built the garage just by adding walls and transformed the building. We've been here 13 years and it has just developed and transformed into this really lovely gathering space out front that the local musicians have made good use of. I lived out west for about 10 years in my 20s. So I worked with a girl. I had a sore on my gum. I worked with a girl. She came back and she was just like, you won't believe how great this stuff is. And our little health food store in Sedona had wheatgrass juice. And this was in the late 80s. And she went down and got me some, and I just put it on my mouth, and it was gone the next day. And I was like, oh my God, you know, that was just so amazing. That's how I started drinking it, and I drank it in Sedona for years. And then when I moved back to Ohio, nobody had wheatgrass juice. Nobody even heard of it. Hardly anybody. I think the mustard seed had heard of it. And I had started a little herb farm with my mom and dad and sister down on Akron Peninsula Road. So we were doing that. and I started growing wheatgrass for myself in my basement. And then I started growing it for a couple of people at the New Earth health food store in Cuyahoga Falls. And then I started growing it for like the Web of Life out in Westlake. And once I reached 70 pounds a week, I moved out of my basement, which that was for 3 years. I went from 0 to 70 pounds in 3 years, and I got that building down in the valley. And we stayed there for 7 years, and then we moved here. We've been here for 13 years. So yeah, I started growing it for myself, and then other people wanted it, and then I'm like, and then it just seemed so easy to get healthy without having to do anything. I never changed the way I ate. Just the results of drinking wheatgrass on a regular basis were unchanging and undeniable. The truth about wheatgrass juice never changes. You're gonna feel it within a couple of days in your digestive system. It's gonna give little scrubbing bubbles to your colon, clean you out. It's gonna increase the oxygen in your blood. It's gonna give you energy, and it just does it every time. You don't, there's so many benefits to it. I started growing it because it was really good for me. And I'm not much of a cook. I don't spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and if I can drink an ounce of wheatgrass and get 2.5 pounds of nutritional value the size of a 2-pound salad, that's awesome. And that's what I'm gonna do. We have a 12-day cycle, and it starts every Thursday with soaking the seed and mixing the dirt, preparing the soil, and putting it in trays. Fridays, we plant the seed. Saturday and Sunday, we put it in the dark. Monday, we uncover it and put it under lights and water it. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it grows, and we water it again on Friday. Saturday, Sunday, it grows, and we cut it on Monday. Fresh cut. So it's 12 days, from Thursday to Monday. We cut so it's always fresh cut on Monday. Anybody that wants it as fresh as it can be. Otherwise, you can get it all week, but in our fresh cut pound bags. And I found, after 25 years of believing you had to drink it the same day, I found and believe that it is still fresh for 3 days. And so that's why we're doing these jars of juice, 3 days of freshness, to make it easy. So it's the easiest way to get healthy. You don't have to do anything else except drink the juice every day, or at least 4 times a week, 2 to 4 ounces. And you'll be able to tell me in 3 weeks how you feel about it. And I'm not worried, because I know the truth about wheatgrass never changes.
Now, to wrap this show up today, it's over near the University of Akron to Sam's Jewelry Emporium, which has been a staple in Akron for as long as I can remember. Let's go see what Sam's Jewelry Emporium is all about.
We were actually on Howard Street in 1946, and we were there until the early 70s before we moved to Exchange Street. And back then, it was more of a pawn shop where we catered to the rubber workers and helping them, from payday to payday. They needed help with, money to pay their bills. It was kind of a tough time back then. And that's we originated as a pawn shop and evolved into a very nice jewelry store, retail jewelry store that offers custom jewelry and repairs, and one of the largest selections in northeastern Ohio of loose diamonds, lab-grown diamonds. When we moved here in the 70s, this used to be a People's drugstore. It was there was some other businesses here too, but that was the main business as people remember this building. It's a pretty large building. There's terracotta design on the outside of the building, blue and red tiles. It's gorgeous, and we spent a lot of money to make it look like it did before and keep it, kind of like a historic type place in Akron. We're kind of an institution. A lot of people know us just from the longevity and being consistent with what we do here. Well, when I first started 27 years ago, I look out the windows. There's not one building that's there that was there when I was here. We have the InfoCision football stadium was built, the dorms, all the existing businesses that were here across the street and on the side have been, just knocked down and kind of cleaned up. It's kind of nice around, much nicer around here. They're redoing the streets now as part of a new thing that they're doing right now. New streets, new sidewalks, new lights. It's going to be, by the end of next year, it's going to be beautiful on Exchange Street. And we're excited about that. We have a fantastic in-house on-site repair center here. John Jones is our jeweler. He's been in the business for 30 years. So we are super excited to have him in the store to be able to do repairs. Our repairs usually take about a week, and nothing leaves the store. So if you have your mother's, your grandmother's jewelry, a very special, important piece of jewelry for you that you've inherited, it's real important that it stays in the store. It gets done within a week. It's not shipped out. You lose control of where it is. You want to make sure you get your jewelry back. And we have a lot of customers that drive hours just for repairs. People come in from Cleveland, they come in from Columbus. They send a lot of people who leave Akron and go to Arizona and different places. They send jewelry in for repairs. That's what a compliment that someone would, trust us to do the repair when they can just go down the street to a local jeweler. So in this business, it's all about trust, and that's number one, integrity, and that's what we try to create a comfortable atmosphere here. We don't work on commissions, we don't have fancy showcases, and our customers feel that. We have a custom design center that we're lucky to have Eddie Escudero here, and he's in charge of our custom design center. So he inputs information after conversations with customers, and he has pictures, and he inputs the information into the CAD/CAM design program and produces a wax prototype of the item for the customer to come back and review and make sure that's what they want. They can actually look at the item that's going to be made for them. And once it's approved, if there's changes that need to be made, they can be made at that time. Once it's approved, then it goes to our casting room here. We do everything from start to finish here, which is pretty incredible because a lot of places subcontract out either the design part of it, the casting part of it, and we do it all in this building from start to finish. And you get to talk to the person who's actually going to be doing the designing of your piece. So usually it's an owner or a salesperson that gets the information, they relay it over to somebody else. So you kind of lose a little bit that way. It's not as awesome, and the end result is just incredible when you can talk right to the person doing the work. We do very little advertising. It's word of mouth, and the future is so bright. It's always busy here. People always are going to want to give a special gift of jewelry. What they're able to afford me, depending on the environment and the economy, is changing constantly. What's great about here is that we have anything from a couple hundred to, 20, 30, 40,000. We can fit all price ranges, but I think the fact that we're viewed kind of as an institution because we've been here in business in Akron since 1946, we have that level of trust, which as long as we provide the service and make people feel comfortable and satisfy their needs when they come in, the future is bright.
Thank you once again for watching this episode of Around Akron with Blue Green. If you have any questions or any comments, you can catch me online. Thank you, and have an amazing day. I have a few shots at wheat. It's like wheatgrass, not whiskey. And I don't drink whiskey, it's wheatgrass. Sounds like I've been drinking whiskey though, geez. Okay, take two. Thank you once again. I'm gonna head over to Kenmore to learn all.